What's going on, guys? Eric Swanek here from Swan Hockey. I am joined by Sylvain Cloutier, the head coach and general manager of the Corpus Christi Ice Rays in the North American Hockey League. Sylvain, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I'm sure everybody's excited to see you. You're the first coach on from North American Hockey League. So
That's
we're 6 weeks into this now. So it's going pretty well. And I'm sure everybody here is excited to hear from you guys or to hear from you. And guys, real quick before we start, if you're new here, welcome. This is completely interactive. Ask your questions. Join the conversation. Add your comments. We want to hear your opinions. Let us know where you're coming from. Feel free to throw it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Throw some comments. Drive the algorithm. Anything you could do to help here. Same thing on Facebook. Also, we have the chat in the Discord. If you're new to Discord, I'm telling you, just give it a shot. We'll help you through it. Once you get used to it, it's going to be super, super simple. And very happy to be here tonight with you guys. Sylvain, again, is part of our community. He's in our Facebook group. He's on Scout Central. Let's get into it. Sylvain, Corpus Christi, what's it like?
Wow. It's a beautiful place. Obviously, we're right on the Gulf of Mexico. The arena is right outside, right on the water. Probably one of the nicest junior hockey rinks to play in. We can get up to 7,000 fans at our games. We've been averaging just below 4 last season and maybe close to 3 the season before. Obviously, we need to win more games and maybe our crowds will get a little bigger. But no, it's a great place to play. And we're down south and the weather is nice. There's lots to do in Corpus, and we're trying to change the culture there. We think we're going in the right direction, and hopefully here we can have a winning season here next year.
Yeah, that's awesome. We already got one comment. I don't know if it's for you or me. It says you're my idol. So might be you. Might be a fan from Corpus Christi. Might be a fan from your playing days. How many years have you been in Corpus now?
I spent the last 2 seasons there, so I'm going on 3 next year. When they first contacted me a couple of years ago, it didn't take very long for them to convince me to come back. I did coach in Corpus back in the Central Hockey League, back in the pro days. While I was playing, I sent in my resume and then ended up going through an interview process and ended up coaching there for a season. But when Cassidy Lang called me a couple summers ago, they had made me an offer, and I said, you know what, I can't leave my family, I can't leave my job I have here. I was working with minor hockey kids here too at the time. I had quit the junior team I was working for, but I told Cass that if I was coming to Corpus, it had to be a 5-year thing. Had to be a commitment on their side for me to leave my family. My wife works here in Barrie, Ontario, and I have 3 daughters. And it was a tough call, but I said, it's got to be worth it. And it's got to be, it can't be a 1 or 2 year contract. And then we decide to part ways. It's got to be, we got to change the culture, build it right. And that's what we're trying to do for him, trying to help him build that culture there and turn things around. It's been a long time since Corpus made the playoffs, so now we just got to find the right players. And then we ended up agreeing on a 5-year contract. And my wife was very supportive. She said, go for it, this is something you've been wanting to do. You turned down a lot of jobs in the past, and we couldn't say no this time.
That's awesome. It sounds like a great place, 7,000 seat arena right on the beach, right on the Gulf of Mexico, nice weather. It sounds awesome. Travel's probably long though, right?
Yeah, the travel's long. We go play Colorado. It's a long trip, but the Lone Star, Shreveport, they're our closest. It's a 6-hour bus trip. Sometimes we leave a couple of days before. We'll go practice up there and get adjusted to their arena and get prepared for them. But overall, you get used to it, and we try to give our players as much time as they need. If we go to New Mexico, it's an 11-hour bus ride. We'll leave on a Tuesday. Make sure we're there early enough so there's no excuses comes to the weekend.
Sure. Yeah. And I get, and we'll get more into this in a minute, but like I guess it also takes a certain type of player to play in that division, right? Because it's probably more run, a little bit more pro than some of the other divisions where they're you're playing in front of the big crowd, so you have to mentally be able to handle that. You got to be able to, you have some of the longer trips, so you got to know how to travel, right? Which is another thing too that a lot of guys, part of the learning experience in juniors, like, okay, how do you travel, right? In terms of being able to be ready for the game and that kind of stuff, and manage your time, and make do with what you got. I'm assuming you guys are taking a sleeper bus, almost everywhere, if not everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
we had one. We didn't have one this year in the second half, and the first half too. But you find a way. We travel during the day, and then obviously coming home on a Saturday night. Yeah, we get comfortable. It is a comfortable bus. Our seats go way back, and they're big lounge chairs. So
nice.
yeah, so there's not really an excuse. I mean, when I played, we traveled so much, and you have to be a pro, like you said. Our division is like the pro days. Like we played in good arenas, nice arenas. There's good crowds. It's just like back in the old Central Hockey League when they had those divisions, those teams in there. But I think it's really good for the guys that come play. Uh, I wouldn't say just Corpus, but in our division, because you are preparing yourself, and you have to be very strong mentally to get yourself ready and prepare. Because when you're on the road, you're on the road. Like you got to be ready. If you love working out, we find a gym and you go work out. Like we're at a hotel all week, we're eating out. You got to eat properly. We make sure we take care of the guys that way. But also your sleep, you have roommates, you're not in your bed. But also I think it's the benefit of being on the road too, is it brings the guys closer together too. You become a team faster. Like this season with all the injuries we had and the way our season went, I've never had a group of maybe the 11 years I've coached, 12 years I've coached that was so tight. We were really tight, and it was really nice to see. We did spend a lot of time on the road together, and obviously we have that relationship with the players too, because us coaches, the three of us are with them all the time too, being on the road.
Right.
So it's quite nice because you get to know them and you get that relationship with them, and they feel comfortable coming in, talking to us about anything, which is a good thing because our doors are always open, and we can whatever we got to do. We've been there for our kids. They're we're like fathers, right? They're our kids, and we try to take care of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I mean, it sounds like a fun, what I think is a fun division to play in. And it's for those that don't know, so that Southern Division of the NA, what would you say? Almost everyone was in the old Central League at one point, right? The
Yeah,
Pro League.
I
Some
think pretty much. Yeah, there's Corpus, Shreveport, Lone Star, Odessa, Amarillo. New
Yeah,
Mexico had a team at one point too. Yeah,
yep,
pretty much everybody was in it. I mean, Odessa was a powerhouse, so was Lone Star,
yeah,
and it was
Mississippi, Oklahoma,
yeah, Oklahoma too. I forgot about Oklahoma. Like there was
and then
big, big,
El Paso.
big El Paso. Yeah, big heavy teams, and our division it's a physical division. The teams play hard in our division, so
Yeah, I was just gonna say the
yeah, it's
fans are
heavy.
expecting something too.
Yeah, the fans love it, and in Corpus, if there's a big hit, the crowd goes nuts, right? Like obviously they go crazy for a goal, but they love the physicality and the hard work and to compete. And that's what our fans love in Corpus.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, what's a typical week like, right? So I know you mentioned the travel that you guys will leave. You said on a Thursday, right, for a Friday game.
Yes.
So like,
Yeah,
what's
I
a
mean,
typical
so
week there?
so if we play at home, so we play Friday, Saturday at home. Most of our schedule is always Friday, Saturday, our games. So on a Monday, we show up to the rink at 8:45. They'll have a little warm up to do. We'll get ready. We can go on the ice anytime we want. Start practice at 10, 10 to 12 usually. Then on a Monday in Corpus, we have a trainer, a guy that the boys will separate in two groups and go work out with a personal trainer. So it'll be the first group after the practice, then the second group will go 45 minutes after. During the first month and a half, we'll bring them back to the rink. If we have to watch video or work on our systems or go over stuff, we bring them back to the arena. Or if Phil's there and they want to work on stuff, our assistant coach Phil Oberlin's more than happy to do skills with them, whatever they want to do. Or we can do it before practice too, because we can go, like I said, we can go on the ice anytime. On a Tuesday, we'll have the same time on the ice, 10 to 12. 1 o'clock will be a spin class at the local gym. At 2 o'clock will be a yoga session, and then they're free to go home. On a Wednesday, we'll probably have video in the morning before our skate. We'll get ready. Say we play Odessa on the weekend, we'll be watching stuff on Odessa, do our pre-scout. Be on the ice for 2 hours on the Wednesday. Again, they'll meet Jeff Pelucio, or our trainer. They'll go work out in 2 groups again. And then Thursday becomes the lighter day for us. We'll be on the ice 2 hours. The last season we did our special teams practice, which we do our special teams. We work on our power play on different days, but Thursday is usually PK, D zone, power play, and then that's the afternoon. They'll get off on a Thursday, and then Friday we'll have pregame skate at 10 a.m. Show up at 8:45. We go on. We have the ice from 10 to 11. The pregame skate's usually a half hour. Then they get a half hour to do what they want to do. If they want to get off, that's how they get ready for their game. They can get off. If goalies want to stay on extra, get some more shots, they can stay on until 11. Then the visiting team will come on, and then they can go home, have their pregame meal, and then show up we play at 7, be at the rink at 5, and then we get ready for our game. That's a week at home. So.
Yeah, and I think an important takeaway for people is to realize that it's a job, right? And you're expected to do the job, and like even some of the like for instance like the yoga, it's important, right? And it's stuff that because the yoga, it's about getting your body obviously to adding another element. It's also probably part recovery, that kind of stuff. Like that's the other thing at the higher levels is getting your body to be able to do these things for game day, right? Like it's about prepping your body, which is so big that I think a lot of players miss, or they don't realize. They start to go through the motions and they don't realize that, hey, like the recovery is just as important as the work. And if you look at if you go in a pro locker room, you'll see guys that they're not just showing up to practice and throwing the gear on, skating, taking the gear off and going home, right? They're prepping their body for practice, and then after they're done practicing, they're doing a cool down and a recovery routine to try to get their body ready for the next day. And I think that's important for guys to start to see how it is at these higher levels of junior hockey. And and if you're a player that's not playing at one of these higher levels already, it's stuff that you could incorporate, right? Be aware of it, realize that it's going on, and then incorporate it into whatever level you're at now, right? Start to it's almost like that saying, prepare for the job that you want, not the one that you have, right? So like start doing these things, and take these things that you learn from the the higher levels and incorporate them into what you're doing, and turn yourself into a high level player. And then one day that high level will come, should come calling.
Yeah. And you're going to be ready, right? You got to prepare yourself. So we try to help them that way too, to make sure they are, because the next step, college, or some of them might go pro, they might go to Europe, or excuse me, skip college. Some of them might not want to go to school, but we try to help them as much as we can. On Sundays, it's always a day off, unless it's been, not being honest here, unless it's been a really bad weekend, then we're all going to come in. I mean, but everyone needs a day off. The coaching staff and our physio, equipment manager. It's nice for them to recuperate. They work extremely hard during the week. I mean, especially the two, right? You got to do the laundry all week. You got to stay late. Friday and Saturday night, you're taking care of both teams. So those guys deserve a day off on the Sunday, and the players do too. I mean, it's good for their body and make sure they're ready for the following week. I mean, we would go to the gym sometimes as a staff, like the coaches, assistant coaches, and I would go on a Sunday. We weren't working out. We're going in the cold tub, the hot tub, and the steam room, but we would see some of the guys come in and walk through the cold tub and ride the bike and So you can see those guys are serious about it and are preparing themselves. So, which is
Yeah.
nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. And when you said that, most of the time some days off, unless it's a tough weekend, it reminded me back when I was playing junior. I'll never forget it. I was in Western Ontario, and we came back from a road trip, and like we were just terrible. Like Saturday night, we were just brute, like just terrible. Like we got pumped like 5-1 by what was the quote unquote worst team in the league. We just got pumped, and I'll never forget it. We get back to the rink, and our coach just stands up on the bus, and he's like, gentlemen, it's 4:30 in the morning. He's like, everybody's to be on the ice by 4:50. And
Yeah.
we got bag skated for like an hour from 4:50 in the morning to 5:50 in the morning. Like I don't even know how I got my feet in my skates, because they were frozen shut. Like because my bag was squashed at the bottom of the bus,
Yeah.
everything was just ice. It was
Well,
terrible. But it's
it
like
sucks.
it's like memories like that. But it's like
It sucks. It's awful. I mean, I've had two of them. One when I played for the Guelph Storm, we lost in London. I think we lost 11 or 12-1. Bill LaForge came in the room and said, just take your skates off, put them in your bag, and get on the bus, which was only an hour and a half, 2 hour bus ride. Got back to Guelph. We bag skated so long. And then the other one was Bruce Cassidy was our coach in Indianapolis. And we had lost 6 or 7 in a row. We came in the dressing room. We sat there. We were waiting for him to talk to us. It's really quiet. He just walked out of his office, had the tracksuit on, his hat on, his whistle, and he's like, "Yeah, boys, get back on the ice." And our wives and girlfriends and the guys that had kids at the time they all watched us. It was pretty embarrassing because the visiting team was there watching too. So we
what
got
team
back
was
on, and Bruce bagged us for, I think it must have been an hour. And Brian Noonan was on our team, and he was really good buddies with Bruce, and he couldn't believe it. He's like, "We got to do it. We got to
which
do
which
it."
which which team was this?
Indianapolis Ice back in the old IHL. It
Oh,
was
okay.
Chicago Blackhawks farm team, and Bruce Cassidy was our coach, great guy too. But that night, I don't think any one of us liked him that night. But it is what it is, right? That's how it was, and we learned. And I don't think we lost too many games after that. We got on a run, made the playoffs, and I think we lost to the Detroit Vipers that year in the semifinals. So.
Okay. Yeah, because
But
you were drafted by Detroit, right? And then you signed with Detroit, and then also signed with Chicago later on.
so I was drafted by Detroit by the Red Wings, and then I spent 4 years with the Adirondack Red Wings. After that, Kenny Holland was our general manager in Adirondack, so I had an option. Kenny put a contract on the table. He said, "If you want to come back, you can come back with us. We'll sign you." Then he says, "You can look around and see what's out there." And then Chicago offered me a 2-year contract, so we signed with Chicago. I just felt as a centerman at the time that the competition in Detroit playing center against Draper, Larionov, Fedorov, and Yzerman was slim chance of getting a sniff up. I think we might have had 1 or 2 call-ups in the 4 years I was with the Red Wings, but the Red Wings were a powerhouse, right? They're
Tough.
with Scotty Bowman and them, yeah. So yeah, I went to Chicago. I got my first call-up in '99 when I was in Indianapolis. I got called up for 7 games, and the 2.5 months I was up was unbelievable. Bob Probert was my roommate on the road. I knew Proby from my Detroit days because I was with the Red Wings. He was there then. And then also we had a connection because I grew up in Sault Ste. Marie and he played for the Sault Greyhounds. So we hit it off from day one. A really nice guy. He took care of me and stuff. And I played on the line with him too while I was in Chicago. So that's quite neat. And then I didn't get to play my second year in Chicago. I was supposed to spend the summer with the Blackhawks, with the prospects, and train there all summer with Denis Savard and those guys. And I got drafted by Atlanta in the expansion draft. And then the rest was history. I went to Atlanta's training camp, and then 2 weeks later, after we got the family all settled in Orlando with their farm team, I got a phone call that I got from Lou Lamoriello. They traded for me in New Jersey, so I was moving from Orlando to Albany, and then spent 3 years in Albany. Finished my AHL career in Houston. We won the Calder Cup there, where I was captain, playing for Todd McClellan, and it was good. And then we spent another 10 years in Europe. So it was a lot of hockey, a lot of moving around. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. We got a couple comments here. So we confirmed that you're the idol. So when that idol comment came
Oh,
in, it's you. You're the idol, and the comment before said "Go Ice Rays." So
oh, nice.
might be a fan down there in Corpus Christi. We also got another comment from Alan Weeks. We just had a kid from our small town in Wisconsin signed down there, Locken. He was fun
Oh
to
yeah,
watch
big,
in high school.
yeah, big D man, big stay at home D man, big boy. Yeah, he'll be coming to main camp in June, and we're looking forward. I saw him play a couple times this season. Uh, Big guy, just keeps things simple. What we're looking for at our back end is big bodies, people that can clear the front of the net and make that first pass. So he fits that mold. So that's why we tendered him, and yeah, he'll be in at our main camp, and he's got a great shot. Obviously, it's going to be up to him to show up in great shape at main camp and come and make some noise.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, on that note, do you want to talk about main camp a little bit? You want to talk about the
Sure.
process, like what the team that you're trying to build, and the values and the players that are important to you, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about main camp. Main camp is June 20th to the 23rd in Detroit. We're inviting players, obviously, but we also have it open. We decided not to do a pre-draft. We haven't done one the last 2 years. I'm not. It's at the end of the day is we want to have guys at our main camp, not at the pre-draft. So we want guys to come to main camp, compete, show us that you want to compete, play hard, do the little things right. Obviously, we have some guys coming back, but they were told at the end of the season, there's no guarantees here. We finished 7th or 8th, and it's unacceptable. It's not what we want. We want a group of guys that are going to come to Corpus Christi, obviously enjoy their time, but also win some hockey games. We got to find that the right characters, that their focus is going to be ice hockey. You win, you have fun, right? So the beach is there, the golf is there, but also you got a job to do, and your first job is on the ice. We owe it to our fans. We got great fans, and if we can put all that together, obviously it's a great place to play. But yeah, for main camp, we want character kids. We want kids that are going to outwork the other team. We can have all the skill in the world, but if you're not willing to work or pay the price, you're not going to go very far. You got to be able to play both ways. We want you to play a full game, 200-foot game. We don't want anyone cheating. We want you to play the right way. That's what we're trying to teach in Corpus. Play the right way, so when you get your D1 or D3 scholarship, you'll be ready to play the right way when you get up there.
No, it's so important. Like playing the right way. Like it's something that like Jimmy Dowd and I have been talking about it for a long time, and and obviously Jimmy, and I told you he remembered you right away from the from the playing days, and like the way that I put it to people is playing hockey, because a lot of guys, there's like that conversation, like, okay, like are points number one or not? Do they matter? Do they not matter? Or if they do matter, how much do they matter? And what I tell people is like, yeah, of course they matter, right? Like it's the first thing that anybody looks at is, they're going to look at they're going to look at your stat line, right? So first impressions are huge. So do points matter? Yeah, of course, right? They're part of the stats. Like, every stat matters, right? Like across the board, your plus minus, your penalty minutes, like everything matters. But, and some people tell players, hey, don't worry, points aren't important. Like they don't matter. Like, no, they do matter. They are important. But what I tell people is you shouldn't be worried about putting up points, right? They're important. They matter, but don't worry about putting up points. Worry about playing hockey the right way. Because if you play hockey the right way, it's almost impossible not to put up points, right? Like if you're a points guy, right? Like when I, like if somebody calls me and they're like, hey, got this forward. He's got, great speed, great vision, he's got a great shot. He's a great playmaker. He works hard, how could that kid not put up points? It's almost impossible not to, right? So the way that I break it down for players, especially players that might be, in a little bit of a slump and they're like, they're not getting the points. It's like, hey, don't worry about producing points. Worrying about producing points is worrying about the end result, right? Worry about producing great details, right? Worry about producing, great forechecks, great back checks, great gaps, great passing, great communication with your teammates, great
Yeah.
shots on net, hunting for rebounds. If you produce great details, the end result pretty much is going to take care of itself, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost
It,
impossible not to.
no, it does. And, like I talked to a school today about a player that he was injured for us at training camp and he was going to be a big part of our lineup. And when he came back, he was so worried about putting up numbers. Cause we brought him in, like, we're like, you got to play. He's a big boy, a big centerman. We're like, you got to play both ways. Like, don't worry about your points. They're going to come. And then finally, as it went on, but he was such in a rush because he missed 3.5 months, which is huge for these kids, right? They think about this stuff. They
Yeah.
get stressed about it and they want to get committed. And the way he played, this coach called me today and they loved the way he played both ways. And, he finally, after a few games, he relaxed and he was scoring goals for us. He was getting assists. He was doing well. He was producing. And today I had a great conversation with that college coach. And now they're looking at him like, they want him to come back next year, obviously play a full year of juniors in 04. And it's too bad what happened to him at training camp when he got injured. But, we took care of him. He went home. He took care of his surgery, and then when he came back, and and now he got notice. So people have been watching our games, and like you said, pay attention to details and do the little things right. Have a good stick, and finish your checks, block shots, do those little things because those guys are hard to find now. And like what I find, like in the Toronto area, like I did coach some minor hockey here before I ended up leaving for Corbett. You can throw pylons on the ice and you can do all the skill in the world out there and go around cones and stick handle. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. We should do that. Like I didn't have that when I played when I was younger. The kids now, it's unbelievable what they have at their for them to be
Yeah.
able to get better, right? Yeah. So, but like you need to be able to play the game too and learn that stuff, right? So that's what we try to do that and mold guys, not mold them, but teach them that you need to do that to get to the next level. You're willing to do all this stuff. It's going to help you in the future. And yeah, we want to win in Corpus, and our main goal is winning. We also want to help these kids move up to the next level, right? That's the most important thing, really, is to help these guys get ready for the next level and hopefully get them committed.
And it all and everything goes hand in hand. Like, I mean, like I tell people all the time, like winning is number one, right? And because the winning helps make the wheel go round, right? Like when a team is winning, people pay attention to the team. They want to know who's on the team, right? That's the team that
Yeah,
coaches and scouts are looking at, right? When they're investing their scouting dollars and putting a guy on an airplane to go watch a game, they're usually going to watch the top end teams.
yeah,
So, the winning is number one because again, it makes the wheel go round. It's going to help with the exposure, with the moving guys on, and it's going to help with the development, right? When a
yeah,
team is winning, the team's usually playing all three zones. They're playing 200 feet, again, good puck touches, or playing in those big high pressure situations, or going deep into the playoffs, or getting that playoff experience, right? Like, so the winning is like you know number one, and then everything else, it's a very close second, or but it all a lot of it
usually
depends on the winning.
falls in place, right? Like, not. I'm just trying to say, like, even when I played, I was on winning teams. We won championships. It was
Yeah,
easier for me when I was playing pro to get a job, to get another job because we were winning. I was on a winning team, and people want winners, right? And they do that. And he tried to explain that to the kids. Like, obviously, we're excited for this player that he's going to get committed, but um, the more we win and play as a group, the easier it is for all the 20
yeah,
guys in the dressing room to get noticed, just like you said. And there was a guy on our team who's an old three, and he's like, coach, I'm always penalty killing. I play third line or fourth line minutes, and I was trying to explain to him, college teams need those guys too.
yeah, for
Need
sure.
role players. And last week he texted me, and I think he's finalizing his D3 commitment now because they're looking for a guy to go on their third line or fourth line and be a penalty killer. So, he finally understands now, and the messages he sent me that, what we were trying to tell him, we weren't lying to him just because we want him to play that role, but there's
Right.
a role you can excel at, and then you can go to the next level and do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and there's very few players on this planet that don't eventually have to change their role, right? You got your top 6 in the NHL. That's it. Everybody else somewhere along the way, in order to keep moving up, pretty much had to change their role,
Yeah.
or didn't change their role and they no longer play,
No,
right? So
exactly.
there's very few players that just get to ride their, preferred role
Yeah.
all the way up to the top.
Well, it's hard because I went through it in the OHL where I was scoring goals and getting 100. My last year I had 116 or 118 points, and then I go to Adirondack and Newell Brown pulls me in the office, and Detroit wanted me to become a checking center, and I was looking at him going, okay, well, but if you look at who was ahead of me and I guess in the prospect pool or the guys in the NHL, they probably felt if they lost Draper or Tim Taylor at the time, they can. If I could become that checking guy, then you get called up and you play that role. And we had Wes Walls ahead of me. He was an offensive player, obviously. There's Jason Miller, some good centermen that were more experienced than me. I was a rookie out of the OHL, but it took me a few months to accept that. Like I did it. Like it was my job, but it's hard. It's hard if you don't adapt. And then I did it for 10 years in the American League after that. That's what I did. I became a penalty killer, became a shutdown centerman, took faceoffs, and you know what? That's what it was. I mean, I chipped in once in a while, but you don't get, obviously, if you're scoring 40 goals a year or 30 goals, you get all the attention. The guy winning those faceoffs and penalty killing and blocking shots don't always get the glory, I guess you would say, but deep down,
Right.
your teammates know, right? Your teammates know and your coaching staff knows, and that's all that really matters at the end.
Yeah, and it's, and another thing for people to pick up there was like your ability to read the room, right? Like to be able to make decisions based off of, okay, let's read the room. These are the guys ahead of me on the depth chart, right? Even your decision to sign in Chicago was based off of reading the room. And,
Yeah.
again, it's an important lesson for people. Like, if you're like, let's say you're a forward walking into camp with the Pittsburgh Penguins and you decide, hey, I'm the superstar goal guy. Well, the superstar goal guy's name is Crosby. That's your competition. If you think you're going to out superstar him, great, more power to you. But for most
Yeah.
guys, it might be more advantageous to pick a different target on the Penguins to steal his job, right?
Yeah,
So
somehow.
so the ability to read the room
Oh,
is
yeah,
huge.
you have to. Like, it's true what you're saying too. Like, we've had guys come in, like, we picked up different guys that are high end goal scorers on U18 AAA, and then they come into the NAHL, they get a chance to play, and it's a different level. They're not scoring, and then you use them as penalty killers or as energy guys, and they don't quite understand why they're not on the power play or what's happening. But obviously, everyone gets a chance, and it's up to you to keep it. And if you don't, as a team, you got to accept that role and go and do it. And maybe your second year now, you become the key guy. The other guy graduated. Now you take that role and you take that chance. But now you've learned how to do the other thing. Maybe you didn't do as a U18 player, where you could maybe cheat, take off, get those breakaways, get all the
Right.
power play minute, right? And it's just sometimes it's tough to explain that to some of the young men coming in, but some of them get it. The sooner they get it, the better it is for them, right?
Yeah, and that's one of those things that, like even, a lot of this game and people talk about it is, a lot of this game is mental, right? Like that's just a mental decision, right? To commit to playing that role. And there's so many players that their career ends because they mentally can't, they don't get it, right? And they're not willing to, mentally accept it. And, another thing I talk about a lot is, a lot of the difference between, your AHL players and your NHL players, a lot of it's mental, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the human body, you can only skate so fast, you can only shoot a puck so hard. A big part of it is mental, right? Like the guys in the NHL, they're just mentally at a whole different level.
Yeah,
And
it's
you'll see that like throughout junior too, like the difference, maybe the difference between an NA player and a U18 player, right? It could be, a big part of it could be mental. And
yeah, and it could be a big jump. Like sometimes there's nothing wrong. Like if you don't make an NA team that your first year out of playing AAA U18, there's nothing wrong with going to play in another junior league. Like last year, we picked up two guys from the NOJ, the Northern Ontario Junior
yeah,
Hockey
we
League.
just had Jonathan Blier on 2 weeks ago from the Hearst Lumberjacks, and
Yeah. and it's a good hockey league. Like, we picked up Pearson Sobush and Billy Biederman, and Sobush was a 40 to 50 goal scorer in the Noj as a younger fella, got a lot of ice time, got all the touches, and he came to the NAHL last year and he scored 20 goals for us. It is a big jump. It is a tough league to play in. You got to be, if you have all summer to get yourself ready, make sure you do. I mean, Sobush will be back next year, but he's a kid getting D1 looks now, but he came from the Noj. So did Billy Biederman. Biederman ended up getting injured. It was almost a point a game for us. It was an 05 kid, and he played there for a couple of years, and he got that experience and playing against 20-year-olds when he's 17 and 18, and then he decided to come to the NAHL. He might end up playing the USHL next year as an 05, but sometimes don't be disappointed if you don't make an all team right away. There's other avenues to get you back and go play somewhere. Don't sit on the bench. Don't be that guy that's in and out of the lineup, especially if you're a young guy. My advice is go play, go get your touches, and then come back with all that experience.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think and for those of you that don't, that might be newer to junior hockey, when we say the Noj, we're referring to the NOJHL, the Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. And I think, and again, I think it comes back to, well, before I go into that, for people that are, again, newer to junior hockey, the North American Hockey League is, one of the two best tier 2 junior A leagues there is, in my opinion. It's the North American Hockey League and the BCHL are the two, top end of the spectrum. And then you got a bunch of other leagues that will fall, below the North American Hockey League and the BCHL that are still great opportunities and, some really great hockey. So it's important to just understand kind of like what that totem pole and what that ladder looks like. And they're all just tools in a toolbox, right? You take out the one that you need to help you with your situation, right? Like if you're going to fix the window, you're probably not going to take out your hammer, right? So, they're all just tools in a toolbox. You want to use the right one, accordingly. And now I forget where I was going with this. So we went off. We were saying
we went off a little bit, but
no, just went off a lot. Yeah, bring me back. So
that was my fault. No,
we're talking about not sitting.
Yeah,
not sitting, right, and taking advantage of one of the other opportunities that are out there. And one of the biggest traps that I think a lot of players fall in is they say, "Hey, I would rather sit in the North American Hockey League because I want to go D1." Well, here's the question that somebody has to explain to me. If you can't crack the North American Hockey League, if you're sitting, how are you going to play Division 1? You don't have to worry about that. Not today, right? Like you have to worry about development and getting to be an everyday guy in the North American Hockey League, and then being an impact guy in the North American Hockey League, and then hopefully getting your Division 1, right? It's not, I'm not saying that you can't do it. Obviously you could do it, right? But you have to, crawl, walk, run, sprint, and it's more advantageous to be playing somewhere and being an important part of the lineup, and as opposed to sitting, right? Because you're gonna develop playing, better than you'll develop sitting. And and again, I know it's hard to kind of leave that, I could sit in this league and this league gets a ton of glory, but you'll be better off for it a year down the road. Because again, you got to play, you got to build your resume, like we talked about, probably about 20 minutes ago now, right? First impressions, people look at the stats, right? They see, guy didn't play. That's not good, right? And if you're not playing, how many, again, going back to the stat line, right? What do your stats look like if you're not playing? Because when you are playing, you're probably not playing that much, right? So then your stats are going to be down because you're not going to be on the ice that much, doing things. So it's just a very important, very important to play. And on that note, Sylvain, like, why don't you talk about like the value of having guys with junior experience in the North American Hockey League, right? If for a lot of teams, I know a lot of teams, if they have an opportunity to bring in an experienced junior guy into the North American Hockey League, they're all about it. Because again, the North American Hockey League is, one of the best tier 2 junior A leagues there is. It's, an older league. It's a heavier league. That experience, I know a lot of guys value it.
Yeah, we do for sure. Like we got to have the right mix. So, are we looking at guys with experience in junior leagues right now? Yes, we are. We're also looking at the U18 AAA kids also, and NCDC teams, players. That's another junior league that guys are getting experience, 06s or 05s that decide to go play there. But like I'm going back here with Sobush and Biederman, two kids that played in that Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League. And I guess in a way it worked out for both of us because I was from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. So I knew the league, and I might have been one of the first coaches really from the NA to go up there and grab guys, because I know when I drafted them, I got a couple text messages from coaches in our division. They're like, "Who are these guys? Wow, why are you drafting these guys?" And I knew was Solbush, even though he was scoring goals, by watching him and going to watch him live as a young, like he played AAA. I have buddies back home that I've seen him play, and the one thing they said about Solbush is he's a competitor. He competes, and when you see guys scoring that many goals, you're like, oh, he's got to be, pretty skilled. I'm not saying he's not skilled, but he works hard for everything. And that's why I loved him. Like that's why I was like, I want this guy on my team. He finishes his checks. He'll block shots on the PK. 5-on-5, he goes to his point. He's got a great stick. Or he'll put his body on the line, and that's what we're trying to change there. And we have some of these pieces. And the same with Biederman. When Biederman was on, the way he battled, he was chippy. He was a bit old school, very skilled, can skate. Like there was 4 or 5 D1 schools after the showcase that really liked him. But he was playing up north, and then he came and played for us, and he was ready to play at our level. And and we hope he's back. And if he makes a USHL, awesome, great for him. That's what we're supposed to do, is promote our kids. But we got those two out of those leagues because of the way they competed and how hard they worked, and they earned everything. If you look at their stats, yeah, they got a lot of stats, but that's all earned too. So it wasn't just because they were talent. Yeah, they have skill. I'm repeating myself, but they work and they compete. And there's a lot of those kids up there. There's American, Canadians, Indigenous kids playing there, and they play the game. They play hard and they play the game the right way, which is nice
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah, and I think it's, again, like just kind of like a tribute to the, the quote unquote process. I mean, I remember one year I was working with a player he was cut from the North American League, and he went, he played in the SIJHL, and he went back to the SIJHL, and the kid did what he had to do. Like I think he put up 72 points that year as a defenseman. Right, he got cut from the North American League, and that next following summer he was drafted 6th overall. Right, and was drafted 6th overall because he turned down a bunch of tenders. He wanted to go through the draft.
Yeah,
Right, and so it's just, it's a great story because it does happen, right? It's,
it does. Yeah,
and people need to just, again, like you got to trust that, you got to bet on yourself. Do what you got to do to get better at hockey. And
yeah,
and that particular player gets drafted 6th overall, turns it down, goes to the BCHL.
yeah.
Like he got to pick where he wanted to play the next year.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? He went somewhere, got all the touches, got a lot of ice time, got
Yeah.
confidence, and that happens too. Like, and then like another thing too, Denal with me was all new, these tenders and getting ready for our draft and stuff. And I think the 2 years I've been with Corpus, I think we had maybe more guys coming to our main camp free agents make our team than we did with tenders and draft picks, because it's all a gamble, right? At the end of the day. And sometimes there's kids that don't get drafted or don't get tendered. They got something to prove. So when they come to your main camp, they really want it, right? They don't think they have something guaranteed. And the tenders are great to be there. Like when you use them, there's certain young kids, obviously you want, or older junior kids, you can use them on them. But last season, like in the last 2 years, I think we had 3 or 4 kids that made our team that weren't tendered or drafted. So
Just showed up to camp and
yeah,
again, did their job, like did what they
yeah,
had to
they
do.
showed up and did what they had to do, and that's nice to see too. So I know I talked to a lot of people, and they all want to be tendered or drafted. And if it doesn't happen, don't get down. Just go to a main camp, and you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, what I tell people a lot too is like, you're you,
Yeah,
right? Whatever that may be, you're you. And just because you don't get a tender or you're not drafted or you get sent down from a higher level or whatever, you're still you, right? You're still as good at hockey as you were before you
yeah,
didn't get tendered, right?
yeah,
It's not just like you're instantly bad at hockey now,
yeah,
right? So work on building the best version of yourself that you can, because you know what, like if you're, if somebody did make a mistake and you really are that good, a lot of times, I mean, I'd say most of the time the cream tends to rise to the top, right? Like
Yeah.
you kind of can't keep a good man down. So
No.
that's why, like, you just want to keep building the best version of you that you can, because no matter what happens around you, you're you.
Yeah.
And if, again, if that version of you is ready for the next level, typically happens,
Yeah, for sure.
So it's yeah, no, and and obviously, for anybody that's new, I mean, North American Hockey League, it does offer, I mean, a lot of Division 1 commitments coming out of it. It has done really well, I would say, with goalies over the years. Even like with a few goalies drafted to the NHL, like that kid that played in Chippewa last year. Drawing a blank on his last name. It was
Yeah, because
Adam.
he played the World Juniors too, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was something crazy. I think he was
Yeah.
like third string goalie, and then the other two got hurt or
Yeah,
suspended or
he took
something.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, wound up playing World Junior, and
I
it's
can't think of his last name, but yeah, I know
I
who
think
you're talking
I
about.
think it started with a G. I'm drawing a blank. If anybody knows it, throw it in the comments.
Yeah, no,
That would be a phenomenal time for you to join the
yeah.
conversation.
Well, the Null's been known for goalies, right? I know my brother was a scout for he was a goalie coach and scout for the Vancouver Canucks. He was watching, he was scouting the Null for goaltenders because they get a chance to play, which sometimes as a younger goalie you might not get that opportunity in the USHL. Sometimes they might go with a more experienced guy, but in the NA it's been known to be a league for the goalies. So
Yeah, and we got all right, we got a comment here. Adam, I don't even know if I'm going to say this right. It says Adam Gajan. I'm not sure how to
oh,
spell. Well, that
Gage,
works, Will, because I'm not sure how to say it.
yeah,
So
I think it's Gasian. I think
yeah,
that's how you say
no,
it. Yeah,
I knew it started with a G,
yeah,
but
he was a good goalie.
yeah. He was big too, wasn't he?
Yeah, big boy. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think he was committed to what? Didn't he go? He's playing college, isn't he right now? I think.
I don't even remember. I
Yeah,
think so. I mean, he's
yeah,
he should be somewhere.
yeah, for
But
sure.
I've seen some of his training videos online too. Like they're insane, like nuts. Because I think he's big too. I think he's like 6'6",
Yeah, he's a
and
big goalie. Well,
seeing like how quick he moves and everything. And it's like, I mean, like it's really something to see someone who's higher level goalies, like or higher level players in general, just seeing what their bodies are able to do, right? Because like
yeah,
that's why, like, that's why I preach to people, like, the summer is so important to be putting your time in the gym, and the off ice, the on ice, like, you gotta, like, you guys want to play at these top end levels, like, you want to play places that 95% of the people in this world won't play. You got to get your body to be able to do things that 90% of the people in this world can't do, and it's a lot of work.
yeah. It is. It's a lot of work. Like going back again, I had to train to be able to play 20 years pro. Like it was my off seasons. And when you get older, people that are my age will know too. As you get older, it's a lot harder to stay in shape. You got to work extra hard. And the last 3 or 4 years when I played till I was 40, so it was tough. And you have to work hard. You have to take care of yourselves. And that's why now it's extremely important. You get to the junior level and U18 AAA, and I know they start early now working out and doing stuff, but you got to make sure your cardio and extremely good, because I think that's one thing that kept me going was my cardio. Yeah, I worked out, lifted weights, and did the plyometrics, all that stuff, but it was my cardio that kept me going because I can just keep going. So, but no, I think like I said, in Corpus, we try to get you ready for the next level, and we've been through it as a staff, so we try to give back to our players that way.
Yeah, and speaking of cardio, it's funny because I had another GM in the North American League tell me, I don't know, it was probably a couple of months ago now.
Yeah.
Like, we're just, just bullshitting. And, he's like, man, if there was one thing that these kids should focus on leading up to the main camp, like if you were going to be lazy and only focus on one thing, he's like, cardio. He's like, you're going to come to main camp and play like, 4 games in 3 days. If you're like just zipping around with top end cardio, like you're going to look better than a lot of the guys just because you're not going to get tired, and you're going to win a lot of battles and a lot of foot races just because everybody else is sucking wind and you're, Mr. Cardio. And it was just funny because it's like, it's, like, yeah, like if you're going to be lazy, yeah, I guess make it the cardio.
Yeah, because we'll see that main camp, right? You see it when they get on the ice, or how they're going to be. Like, it is tough. Like, main camp is pretty hard, right? You're trying to impress, and you play five. I think we have 5 games. The kids are guaranteed, so it's a lot. It's a lot for them. But make sure you're prepared. Make sure you come there. And I say, even if you're having a bad game when you go to tryouts anywhere, even if you come to our main camp, you go trying out for U18, AAA, U16. You're going pro. You're going to college. Make sure you do something that it's going to get you noticed. You might be having a bad game, but make sure you do something little, or do something where they say, "Oh, who's that guy? Who's number 81 over there?" Maybe you don't have the best game, but make sure you do something so that way the staff, scouts, whoever's watching you, they do remember you.
Yeah. 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 And guys, to that point, like, if you're going to these main camps, like, prepare. Like,
Yeah.
your parents are spending a lot of money to do this, or some of you guys, you're spending your own money to do this. Like, don't just spend the money and then show up. I mean, I see it every year. Like, you look at some of these players that walk through the door for camp, and it's like, you're kidding yourself. Like, why are you
Yeah.
even? You're not making the most out of your opportunity. You're not making the most out of yours or your parents' money, and it's because like, the stuff's not cheap, and the opportunities the opportunities are limited too, and
Yeah, I
actually,
mean, it's tough, right? We have 24 spots on our team.
yeah,
So, yeah, do we have some guys coming back? Yeah, we got a few guys, but like I said earlier in the show, our exit meetings, everyone, there's no guarantees. Like, we need to have that culture, that winning. We need a group that wants to come in and make Corpus a winning team, and bring that winning mentality. We got to win, find a way to win 12 to 16 more games next year to be in that top 4, to be in the playoffs. So that's our goal. But we got to have the right characters.
yeah, for sure. And going back to, like, the travel and everything,
Yeah.
one of the best stories I heard for a travel hack for main camp was, apparently, there a kid shows up to the rink for main camp in a U-Haul, and everyone's like, what are you doing? He's like, hey, rental car's $90 a day. This is 9 on the promotion. So I guess he rented a U-Haul for $9 a day.
Oh, that's
And
smart. Like,
drove around. It was
good on
awesome.
him. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's an
yeah,
awesome story right there. Yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty smart. He'd be a keeper, I think.
yeah, yeah. No, it was,
Yeah, very
it was
smart
awesome.
kid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was awesome. And Will's coming in here clutch again. He's so Adam, the goalie, he said he's currently at University of Minnesota Duluth.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no, Will, thank you, Will.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I figured he was yeah, I figured he was somewhere. But yeah, like, going back to the goalies, like, there's been some pretty high end guys like Hollebuck, and then even kid from New Jersey that I've known forever, Anthony Stolars. He
Yeah.
was one of your guys down in Corpus Christi. He was
Yeah.
drafted, second round to the Flyers, and
Yeah. If
what is
you,
that?
I said, you look back at that, him and Connor played against each other, right? Odessa Corpus in the playoffs, and
Yeah, maybe they were there the same year. They were there the
yeah, they
same
were there
year.
the same year. And then from talking with people in Corpus, like, they were, both arenas were full. The NHL scouts were there watching both of them.
Yeah,
They were the two. I think Corpus lost that series, but yeah, I mean, it's two pretty good goalies there.
yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah, and I've like I said, I've known Anthony forever. Like, so his older brother. So I was a goalie when I played, and Anthony's older brother was one of my first goalie coaches, and yeah, I remember Anthony's dad would come walking in with Anthony in the stroller, to the goalie camp, and yeah, no, like, his journey's been awesome too. I mean, like, obviously he was there with you guys in Corpus Christi, and then he was at Nebraska, committed to Nebraska Omaha, left Nebraska Omaha, went to the OHL with the London Knights, and
Right. Yeah.
and then went pro, and now he's with the Florida Panthers, and I think he's having, like, an unreal season. I haven't checked his stats
I think,
in a
yeah,
little bit, but I think
yeah,
he may have finished number 1 in the NHL for goals against average. I thought I saw that the other day on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah, and he's got a great partner too, right? So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so yeah, they're a fun team to watch. I like the way the Florida Panthers are built. They're big, skill, strong, compete, like, big team.
yeah, yeah. I just
Yeah.
got to see them in New Jersey, probably about a month or two ago.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, no, they're fun to watch, and it's going to be a good
Yeah.
playoffs. And but yeah, no, North American League I think does a phenomenal job with goalies. I mean, honestly, I think you could even argue that the North American League is better than the USHL when it comes to goalies in
Yeah,
terms of development and stuff. And
well, like I'm going back on my brother Dan. Yeah, when he was scouting, they would come watch the NA goalies. So a lot of them didn't play in the USHL, but they were given a chance to play in the NAHL and getting to play a lot of games. So, like I said, just I know everyone wants to play at a different level, but yeah, if you're a goalie and you're I guess a really good goalie and you have a chance to play either in the USHL or the NAHL. I mean, if you're number one in the USHL, that's great. Yeah, go for it. But if you're not and you're going to be a guy sitting on the bench, you might as well come down and take over a number one role and play 40 to 50 games and play those games and get ready for the following year. I mean, maybe you get committed and then you move up to the USHL and then you become the number one goalie there.
yeah, and like and again, like it goes back to the whole playing thing, and the biggest thing too for a lot of people to take away is like there's no rules. You're allowed to get drafted to the NHL from the North American Hockey League, right? As
Yeah,
proven already. Like you're allowed to get drafted, to the NHL from the USHL, the BCHL, the MJ, the OHL. Like they're
yeah,
like there's no rules to this, right? All they want is the best players that they think can help them one day. It's that simple.
yeah,
That's all they want, right? And it's proven every year in the NHL draft that it's not about one specific path. If it was about one specific path, you would just see every team just going down the list, taking all the players from that league, right? But it doesn't happen. They take the best players from many leagues, right? Because
yeah,
again, that's what they want. The guys, they want it's not about one or two or three leagues. It's about the top of
yeah,
many leagues. And it's kind of like the one thing that you can count on in this game all the way to the top is that the best guys at every level typically move up. The bottom guys at every level, they're typically done.
yeah,
Like even in the NHL, the bottom guys in the NHL this year very well may not be in the NHL next year. It'll be the top guys from the OHL, from NCAA Division One, from the
yeah,
AHL, top guys from Europe. Those guys will be in the NHL next year.
yeah. No, that's what happens. And like you
'Cause you want
said
to be a
too, like you said, doesn't matter where you play. Also, it just takes that one person to like you, right? If you got that one guy that likes you,
My dad says that all the time.
yeah. I mean, that's what I was told all the time too. Just takes that one guy. Like you try to explain that to the kids too that play for you. It takes that one coach, one D1 or one assistant coach or a scout or to like you, and then you're pretty much set for the guys there because you're gonna be his guy and you're gonna be going with him. So yeah, it takes just that one person to notice you that really likes you, and you never know what happens from there.
Yeah, you only got to be right once, right? Like you could
Yeah,
have, you could have every team in the NHL think you're not good enough, but as long as there's that one team in the NHL that likes you, oh, you're an NHL player.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know, um, yeah, no, awesome, guys. Yeah, we're past an hour already. I say that every episode. I'm like, oh yeah, we're past an hour. It flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Any last minute questions or comments, or hopefully there's no concerns. But if you have a concern, throw that in there too. Um, yeah, just any last minute stuff. Um, just yeah, just throw it in there. Um, and I got something here. I think it's a spam. I don't know. Oh, I think it went away. Yeah, it looks like we got something from Twitch asking about promoting the channel. I'll read that more in depth later. Um, James asks, he says, how do you like to construct your game day lineup since the South Division plays a heavier style? 13 forwards and 7D question mark.
Depending on who we play, some nights, and also depending who's healthy and who's got nagging injuries. If we have a D man that's got a nagging injury, might not be able to play the whole game, we'll dress 7D and 12 forwards, and then vice versa.
Yeah,
I like,
he probably meant 12 because you can only dress 21, right?
yeah, we can only dress
Yeah, so
13
13,
and 6,
yeah,
13 and 6,
7
or
and 2 would be 22.
I
So
think a USHL dresses one more than us. I
do
think
they?
they're allowed, right? I think they're allowed 13 and 7 and two
Oh, are they?
goalies. I think so, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, depending on who we play and, or, the injuries, how everyone's feeling. I like going with 6 D-men. I think it's and I know the D-men like that too because they're in a rotation, they're in the flow, they're involved in the game because they're with their partner. Um, Up front, I don't mind having 13. I run the forwards. You got to be on the ball to be able to get all the guys in. Obviously, the 13 forward might not get as much ice time, but if you lose a forward for a 10-minute or a 15-minute, the 5 for fighting and a 10-minute misconduct, then you're back and you're okay having 12 forwards.
Right.
Yeah, it just depends on our group. Like when we, especially after a Friday night game, we'll get a report in the morning from our physio and see what it is. But we also like to go fresh and make a few changes. So yeah, I like 6 and 13 better than 12 and 7 because if I lose a forward, yeah, I can bring a D-man up too. But or if we're looking at younger guys, if we have an affiliate list of 10 players we can have, and they come in, then if there's a defenseman we want to look at, and we'll dress them as a 7, put him out there a few shifts with a veteran guy, and if there's a younger forward we want to look at as affiliated with us, we'll bring him in and we'll throw him on too with more experienced guys. But overall, yeah, 13 forward 60 is my favorite combination.
Okay, awesome. Will wants to know, he says, what would you say as a coach is the biggest thing to be seen at a main camp, or what do you like to see in guys at your camps? Which I think is important, right? Because like we were talking about this before, like, because obviously a lot of guys, a lot of you guys are trying to, decide which camps should you go to, right? So by knowing what a coach is looking for and knowing what they're honestly looking for can help you make that decision. Okay, let me take a shot over here. Let me take a shot over there. Um, yes, I think that's I think that's a,
That's a great question.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think
no,
it's
it's a
an
great question.
opportunity to learn like, okay, Corpus Christi could be the spot for me to go take that shot.
Yeah, and like so really what I'm looking for if you come to main camp and you want to compete for a job, you do all the little things at that main camp. Yeah. Even if you're a goal scorer, you'll get your chances at main camp to put the puck in the net. But if you're willing to do the little extras, even if you're blocking shots at main camp or you're finishing your checks or you're doing the right things, you're coming back, you're back checking hard, like the back pressure, you're coming back hard. Like we notice all those things. That's what I look at. I'm not looking for guys cutting across the blue line, doing a drop pass, toe dragging. I'm looking for guys that want to go to the net hard. If Eric's got the puck wide, I'm in the middle. I'm driving to the net. I'm creating room for him, maybe to hit, say Will wide, because Will then will be wide open by me going to the net. So I'm going to notice that guy going to the net hard, because then you're opening stuff and you're thinking. You're not trying to go behind Eric to get the drop pass. You're going to the net. You're trying to be a good teammate. That's how I look at it. But if you come there, compete, play hard, do the little things, yeah, you'll definitely get noticed.
Yeah, and so again, it all comes back to just play the right way, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody's looking for Superman. Superman doesn't exist. Like
No, just
just
come there, have fun, play hard, and like I said earlier, like we told her, some of the guys are supposed to be back. It's going to be a competition. We're looking for guys that come in and push guys out if we have to. We will take them. We're at the end of the day, like I said, we want to change the culture. We want guys that want to compete, and we keep repeating it. To do the little things right and play the right way. That's if we can get 24 guys to come back with us at Corpus, at training camp, or if we take 30 at training camp, and you're one of those guys, come there for the 2 weeks, play the exhibition games once you get there, and play it right, and you're going to be ahead of other people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, that's awesome, and I think it's important. Um, yeah, guys, if you want to stay connected with Sylvain, we're gonna give you the Scout Central tag we have for Sylvain is Clouts83. It's CLOUTS 83. So add that to your Scout Central profile. Sylvain will be able to search that tag. He'll be able to stay connected with you. Again, with Scout Central, we're able to do things that cannot be done with an email list, that cannot be done with a recruiting form on a team website. This is going to be, dynamic. And again, make sure your profiles are standing tall. Make sure they're up to date. if Sylvain's scouting a showcase and pulls up his tag, and he clicks on your profile and sees that you're at the showcase, he can pull you aside and meet you face to face and just have that that more personal connection that we're building now through this. Again, guys, we're focused on building the community here, and doing everything a better way, doing everything just a more efficient way. And so yeah, like we've got a few community tools, Scout Central being one of them. Discord is another one. If you guys are not on the Swan Hockey Discord, if you're not in the Swan Hockey Discord server already, hop in there. It's for the guys that it's new to, it'll be a little tricky at first, but once you get it, it's going to be like so easy, and you're going to be like, oh, why was I not in this before? And it's a lot of fun. It's a community chat platform. It's almost like a community playground. There's some really cool things that we can do in it. We can get a poker night going. There's a lot of possibilities. So hop into that. And yeah, I mean, that's Sylvain, anything you want to end with?
No, thank you for having me on. It was awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So Lenore, post link for Scout Central, please. I will do that right now. So you can get there from scoutcentralhockey.com. You can also get there from, let me just make sure I got that right. Yep. All right, Lenore, I just posted it. You can get there at scoutcentralhockey.com. You can also get there from the Swan Hockey website, swanhockey.com. In fact, I'll throw that on the screen now. And if once you enter Swan Hockey and you scroll down, you'll see it under Community Tools. So yeah, no, Sylvain, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody for spending the time with us tonight. And yeah, everybody have a great night, and I will see you next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a great night, guys.